Yeah, some very cool cloudscapes there out here in rural Texas. And we can see some gravity waves up there in that overcast. This is cold air advection coming in back behind a front and some very low stratus, scud cloud. And thanks to our new supporters, Sam France, Carol Sinovitz, and Trey Thomas, welcome to the family. Well, the radar does appear deceptively clear. We can see some cloud streets. These are associated with a bit of destabilization with the sun heating a very cold air mass. And if we switch over to velocity, we can see the green, the inbounds, and the reds, the outbounds. And that's showing that the air is moving north to south. And we do have a squall line moving through southern Louisiana. That's mostly moving south and on its way out of the picture, and this is the remnants of that old MCS that went through Oklahoma last night. And let's just take a look and see what happened exactly. When we were doing the webcast last night, we had that storm there near Quanah and Vernon, and that moved southeast toward the Weatherford area, and it dissipated shortly after that. You can see that little outflow boundary, and then up to the north, and up in Kansas there's that squall line coming together. This is about 9 o'clock last night, and then moving forward. So there's midnight. Looks like some bow echoes embedded in that line, moving through Oklahoma City, and then we've got this derecho feature. I'm not sure if that was an actual derecho, but it sure has the look of one. That's moving through Atoka, maybe the Ada area around 3 a.m. And then right down there towards Clarksville, Texarkana area. And it looks like it kind of dissipated there around 5 to 6 a.m. Well, I don't know. It's still chugging along there, but it's starting to look a little bit more disorganized. And there's 8 a.m. And that's what happened with that storm. And let's look at the SPC storm reports. All right, what happened exactly? Yeah, I'm very curious to know. Yeah, there's a corridor there, pretty much along that axis that we talked about. A lot of hail reports. So it appears that Vernon to Mineral Wells storm laid down a whole lot of hail, and then that big bow echo thing produced a lot of wind. Yeah, it looks like hail reports as large as 3 inches. Wheelbarger County, and then tapers off to about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. But man, that's a lot of hail reports. Okay, yeah, that passed through Weatherford, down to the Benbrook area, and then it looks like one of the last reports was, yeah, Fort Worth. Then the wind reports, what do we have here? Just looking at the gusts, mostly 60 to 70. Doesn't look too bad. I don't see any fatalities in here, but yeah, lots of minor damage. Trees uprooted, power's out. Atoka, Colgate, Idabel, down to Atlanta, Texas, and Bossier City, Louisiana. Looking around the southwestern U.S. today, that squeegee squall line and the cold front has cleared out most of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and we've got these cool 60s and 70s filtering back in behind that boundary. And you can see the dew points are much lower, lots of 30s and 40s, and even 20s up there in Kansas. So we are going to be at least a couple days away from any significant moisture return on the high plains. We can see that the cold front has pushed through El Paso and Albuquerque, got easterly winds there, and probably canyon winds going on east of Albuquerque. And then we get to the Continental Divide. That's about where the cold front is, and west of there, There's our tropical air mass lurking out there waiting to become the next EML, elevated mixed layer, that will override whatever starts forming in Texas in a couple days. And temperatures there are pretty warm. Got lots of hundreds from Phoenix to Palm Springs and down to El Centro and not quite to Tucson, but got a good 23 knot wind there. All right. Yeah, and the San Joaquin Valley, hot. Lots of 90s there. And we can see the thermal low extending back in there, so I might just draw that trough in there. Probably running something like that. That's a feature we often see in the summertime. All right, let's move on and check out the Southeast US. There's how things are looking in the Southeastern US. We've got our baroclinic system in the Atlanta area. Looks like a warm front extending east from that, and then the cold front trailing all the way down towards Corpus Christi and Laredo. And I think up north we've probably got an occlusion of some kind, maybe running something like that. A lot of what we have up there in the Delaware, Maryland area is fairly cool air, and we can see we transition from 65 there in Virginia to 63 to 69 in South Carolina, and then we jump up to 70s and 80s. Well, yeah, there's the 80s right there. So this is definitely where the warm front is. And my first guess is that the warm front was up there, but after reviewing the data, it was obvious this is what the solution was. And whoever thought you'd be shoveling snow in the second week of May in northern Pennsylvania and that Lake District area of upstate New York? Pretty crazy. 30s, and yeah, this is in the middle of the afternoon, 30 there in northern Pennsylvania. It's just the relentless, constant infusion of cold air coming down from Canada. We might have to take a look up there and see what's going on. Anyway, yeah, let's see. We've got large high-pressure area, 1026 millibar high, coming into the northern plains, and that's pushing a lot of cold air across the eastern two-thirds of the country. And then for the northern plains, we have a new Alberta Clipper coming down, 1018 millibar low there in Saskatchewan, and back behind it, high pressure with pretty solid 50s and strong north winds back there in Alberta. So that's going to be the next system heading southeast into the Midwest region. And then out over Washington and Oregon, pretty mild. And that's probably some stagnating polar air back behind that front in Nevada. Well, Friday night always means a party, and in this case, it looks like a polar air mass party up there in northern Canada. Good grief, 1053 millibar low. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that during the warm season. It looks like even a 1048 up there in Greenland. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Temperatures are in the single digits pretty much all over the high Arctic, and the coldest temperature I'm finding, I guess it's 3 degrees. 3 up there in Eureka. And is that the coldest? I'm really curious. So yeah, very cold, and even some of that cold air is going all the way into Alaska. And conditions kind of cool with northeasterly flow there, places like Fairbanks and Fort Yukon. And yeah, that's what's driving a lot of the cold air. I'm not sure what the mechanism on that would be. I'm not a climatologist. But it is kind of curious there. All right, let's see what the deal is with that polar air. This is the 850 millibar temperature anomaly, so this shows conditions are colder than normal at about 5,000 feet off the ground there in the Great Lakes. And I like looking at the 850 millibar anomaly because the surface tends to be biased by diurnal processes and shallow air masses. So this helps remove some of those features. Let's run forward in time. This is right now. We can see the coldest. We can see temperatures are furthest below normal over Lake Superior, and this is the progression over the weekend. Looks like most of that cold air heads into Pennsylvania and Virginia. Some warming there in Alaska. And let's see if we regenerate more cold air up north. Yeah, it looks like we do. Look at that. See right there over Manitoba and Saskatchewan. This is Saturday. Yeah, it looks like a lot of it's originating from a source region right there over central Canada. So there's more of it coming down. And we'll see what happens after that. Air mass modification over the northeast U.S. and looks like more cold air being generated over the Northwest Territories, or actually that's Nunavut. Well, that doesn't do much. Some generation over Alaska, Northwest Territories, that doesn't do much either. Okay. Wow, I guess we might be done with all the crazy cold air. Of course, famous last words. I think I remember saying that a couple weeks ago. So let's see, let's run that back and see the patterns one more time. Yeah, look at that. See right here, this little Alberta clipper? You can really see that thing spiraling. That's really cool. And good shot of cold air coming down into Kansas, but not quite all the way down to Texas as far as depth. Anyway, I do see some high pressure here over the Arctic ice pack, but it looks like that's bringing warm air up from the landmass of Russia. That's what it looks like to me there. So that's not really doing much. And let's see. Pacific becomes active, looks like maybe towards the 18th, 19th. So that could be the start of some severe weather tracks, or a southern storm track, which will help produce severe weather on the plains. Yeah, see right there, a lot of baroclinicity there showing in the western U.S. for about the third week of May. And let's take a quick look at the upper air patterns. High amplitude pattern there, and large polar vortex there over Quebec. So we're broken up into a lot of cutoff highs and deep troughs. So we're probably going to start reforming that zonal pattern once all that dissipates. Yeah, there it is right there. Things becoming more zonal for the middle of the month. And that'll open up the storm track into California and Oregon here towards the middle of the month. And yeah, there comes the high velocities digging in there into California. And then that starts crossing over the Rockies. Yeah, big nasty ridge hanging over the central U.S. So that may keep the plains kind of shut down for a little while. Yeah, so maybe a little troughing there around the 17th, and then when that ridge comes in, that'll pretty much be an end to organized severe weather on the plains for at least a little while. Big stubborn ridge there hanging in. I did get one message from Storm Chasing Germany asking to take a look at Germany in the next video, and he indicates there may be some interesting weather there on Sunday. So let's take a look. You can see we're starting out with kind of a split flow pattern. Looks like a jet down to the south and a northern stream up there in Scandinavia. And let's see what happens. Yeah, Pacific front coming inland right there. And there's actually a pretty strong front coming out of the North Sea area in Scotland. See that right there? See, there's a very intense thickness gradient up there. And let's focus on this right there. This is for Saturday evening. You can see that dropping through the UK. Strong cold front. Probably unusual there. For Saturday night, dropping south. Probably windy with north winds there in the UK. And we can see that moving south. And what that means is that's going to link up with that southern system. And that's something that we often see on the Great Plains as Pacific systems come out of New Mexico. Very similar thing happening here. So that's what I'm seeing there as far as the frontal patterns for Sunday night. So these are basically going to link up. You've got the warm air down here, the cold air up north, and you can see they come together there around the Alps Monday morning, and then we get snow developing out there in Bavaria. And strong pressure gradient. Some gusty winds back in there, Poland and Germany, and everything moves on off into Russia, dumping some snow in. So a big high moves in, and that's it. So it looks like even Europe getting some interesting weather. And of course, to sample the air mass, we want to get maybe ahead of this little MCS, maybe far western Italy. Let's see what the soundings look like. It's really interesting having access to this data. The main problem is that I'm seeing a lack of CAPE. Yeah, here's the CAPE for Sunday. Very little, just one little weak area there. And that's it. So it's all going to be kind of messy and mostly dominated by forcing. And so the instability is going to be the main problem. There could be some mid-level instability, elevated CAPE, but we'll just have to see. Anyway, I don't see any widespread severe weather. Then just to wrap up, what's our next chance of severe weather? Well, we got to get the stubborn high out of here, and well, that's going to be a while. Even by Sunday, we've still got easterly flow there in the high plains. And, well, maybe a little upslope stuff there in southwest Kansas. Well, this is overnight. That's going to be elevated. That's Sunday night. And, okay, that's interesting. The dry line gets going. Yeah, that's the dry line there because the warm front is going to be located, looks to me like it's right in that area. Got the Gulf open, and we're feeding the stuff on the dry line. So, yeah, okay, Monday. Let's look at the soundings. Okay, CAPE's a problem. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. And what else? The moisture is coming up there. It's weak, but it's got good depth and lots of dry air. So that's going to point to that plus the weak wind flow, outflow dominant storms. And plus it's uncapped, so it's going to be kind of a mess. Let me put this out towards the Abilene area. It's always good to take 2 samples. It is still poor CAPE. Wow, look at that, 113 CAPE. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, if we had better moisture, that would help a lot, but we're still pretty early in this convective round. And let's see what happens. I would be looking at maybe Tuesday for better prospects. Okay, yeah, let's see. What's the problem in Abilene on Tuesday? The problem is moisture problems with height. I guess maybe the severed flow is an issue. The moisture return is very shallow. Yeah, this is a better pattern for convection next Friday. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let me click that on Oklahoma City. Yeah, plenty of instability there. Shear looks pretty good. Got some good turning there. Okay, so we just have to wait until later next week, and we should be back in that spring pattern. Okay, so that's about all I got for tonight. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support, and I will be uploading a forecasting video later tonight. That'll go into detail on some techniques and tips that you might find useful. All right, I got to get this uploaded, and we'll go ahead and do that. All right, take care all. We'll see you on Tuesday, and if you're a supporter, if you're sending in that Patreon donation, you will get access this weekend or on Monday, depending on which day we do the private bonus stream. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.